You're listening to In Our Headphones.
Your chance to discover the songs KEXP DJs don't want you to miss. I'm Janice Headley.
And I'm Isabel Khalili. And this is your never-ending source for new music discovery from listener-powered KEXP.
Hello and welcome to In Our Headphones. I'm your host, Janice Headley. Every week, my co-host Isabel Khalili and I chat with a different KEXP DJ and find out what's been playing in their headphones lately. And this week, I am thrilled to be joined by the host of Mechanical Breakdown and also my work BFF, Sharlese. Hi, Sharlese.
Hi, Janice. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I wish I could have you as my guest every week.
That might get a little bit isolated from, we'll isolate people.
Yeah.
You know. They won't understand our jokes.
So, Sharlese, for any listeners who haven't checked out your show yet, can you tell us a little bit about Mechanical Breakdown?
Sure. So Mechanical Breakdown is just a show that I had been thinking about for a really long time before it actually aired on KEXP. I had just been coming across a lot of music that just sounded darker styles and was from all around the world. And I don't know, I love the darkness. Basically, the show is post-punk, EBM, wave, and synth. And the reason why I say wave and synth is because it's a broader way of saying like minimal wave, dark wave, minimal synth. Like it's just new wave. It's just a way of just saying, hey, there's a lot of different styles that happen throughout this show. And they're all connected. There's some industrial. I love playing experimental. I get into some just ambient synth kind of stuff because you hear a lot of that in like horror films and stuff, and a lot of like synth sounds in like movies and stuff. And post-punk went from 1 hour to 2 hours, and I actually resisted it being 2 hours because I really love the art form of an hour-long show, but I am having a lot of fun with 2 hours.
Nice.
And I've been able to incorporate a lot of other things from around the world, like people making mixes, which has been really, really fun for me. And I'm working on some other cool things too. But it's fun to explore different labels, different people, different styles, and yeah, just diversity. Just I don't know. It's fun.
Nice. And Sharlese, like you said, you love the darkness, and you are my guest this week to help us celebrate World Goth Day, which is this coming Wednesday, May 22nd. And can you tell us, like, what kind of programming can our listeners expect on Wednesday?
Well, I really love World Goth Day. I don't really like the word goth. I've been going back and forth with that because I do think that goth has a visual to it, and I think that is something that you feel on the inside. It's not necessarily like white pale skin and also like having this outfit that you're supposed to wear, which is all black, which I am not a hater on black clothes because that is basically what I wear a lot of the time. But I do think that like the music that people will hear throughout the day on World Goth Day is not necessarily presented by people who look a certain way. It's people who have love and passion for the music. So I want to say that. And so I'm really, really excited about World Goth Day. I'm also I love KEXP for this reason, and being able to project manage and curate this day just totally brings me so much joy. In the early morning, you're going to hear Eerily with Evil Eva, and then the morning show with DJ Noctis Ravenway, a.k.a. John Richards, and the mid-death show with Lydia Dietz, a.k.a. DJ Abby, the after-death show with DJ Atticus, who we're still working on his name, but he will have a cute name. And then Die Time with DJ Kevin Gould.
Oh my goodness.
The reason why I am not on air is because I will be in Europe, but my dark, cold, warm heart will be here in spirit.
Yes. You always oversee World Goth Day with wonderful darkness spirit. So I'm sure this year won't be any different.
I oversee World Goth Day overseas.
Yeah, you do. All right. Well, let's jump into some of your song picks. Sharlese, what has been in your headphones lately? What's the first song that you brought for us?
The first song that I brought is this track by Nina Belief, and it's called Siren of Silence, and it's just like a total bop, like bat bop. Like, I love it so much. I didn't realize that that she was focusing on mental health with this. And I love it because if you think about a siren, sirens scream. And I know that when I'm feeling some sort of way, all I want to do is scream.
Seriously.
So,
Yeah, I love how on her Bandcamp page, she has this beautiful quote. Ultimately, the sirens within our minds are not merely harbingers of doom, but also catalysts for growth and introspection. By confronting them, we confront ourselves, forging a deeper understanding of our fears, desires, and the complexities of the human experience. I just love that.
I love it too, and I think that it's a very vulnerable thing to say.
Totally.
Because I feel like when we put out like our music and art, you know, we're putting a lot of like our personal selves, our personal inside self out there in the public, in the open. And I also think that some things like mental health, even though we're all talking about it, it can still be really hard to talk about.
Oh, totally.
Really hard to say, like, I'm having a problem, or, you know, something is happening to me, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that with music like this, we're listening to it and we're like, oh my gosh, this is such a hot hit. Like, I'm just like totally going for it. And then you realize that there's so much more behind it. It really kind of makes you stop and think a little bit about like, wow, like there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye.
Totally.
And that's important to me.
I love that Nina Belief goes there.
Me too.
So yeah, let's take a quick listen. This is Nina Belief and Siren of Silence. All right, Sharlese, what other song do you have for us today?
All right. So the next one is not necessarily a song. I only chose a song because you told me I had to. I did not want to choose a song from this album because the entire album is such a banger. I love this album. It is one of my top albums of the year. It is by a two-piece called Gwendoline. The name of the track that I chose is called Conspire.
Union soviétique, modèle idéal, la Corée du Nord, bon système social, ticket de rationnement, dénonce ton voisin, culte du chef, c'est notre champion.
This is the very first track on the album because it is an excellent opener to the album, which is, I can't say in French. And Gwendoline, they sing in French, and this album is just like such a fun listen, but it's also on one of my most favorite French labels called Born Bad that puts out such excellent music from like punk to synth punk to this, which is like more synthy vibes. I highly recommend it. So if you like this track, please go and check out the rest of the album and then check out Born Bad. It's like probably one of my top 10 labels forever.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, let's take a listen. This is Gwendoline and the track Conspire. All right, Sharlese, what's the third track that you brought for us today?
The third track that I brought to you is by Police d'Amours, and it's also the very first track on their album called Commencement.
Le pouvoir n'y peut rien. Vivre est une maladie. Dernier humain, dernier chagrin. Premier matin après la fin.
I am obsessed with this band. I have been obsessed with this band for a really long time. They're probably one of my gateway bands to this style of like French dark wave synth. As they have developed, they've always been like pretty dark, but they went into more of like a techno kind of harder style. And I've reached out to them, to Police d'Amours. They know how much I love them.
Aw.
I've taken pictures with the album. They actually sent it to me. I was like one of the first people to buy it. I was like, please, I need this. Another thing that I do that's kind of a little like secret thing. I'm letting out all my secrets for Mechanical Breakdown. But if I love an album, I will play one song from the album every week. And that's how you know that I'm like loving something.
And has this Police d'Amours, has this been your a track every week album?
Police d'Amours and Gwendoline definitely both have been hitting that.
Nice.
So yeah, little secrets of Mechanical Breakdown.
I love it. Well, let's listen to it now. This is Police d'Amours and the track Commencement. All right, Sharlese. So finally, we have been asking our DJs to share a song with our listeners that doesn't have to be anything new. It's just like a track that has a special meaning to you. And we want to know, what song did you choose?
Well, you also made me choose just one.
I know I had to.
No, it's okay. I feel like I'm like, you only made me choose one, but I don't. I'm not mad at it. I wanted to choose Crash Course in Science Flying Turns too. And I'm just noting that because Crash Course in Science Flying Turns is like one track that really brought me to the gateway of all of this stuff.
Oh, wow.
Lighting up against the wall. Breeze around and you won't fall. You're at the nervous center.
But the track that I chose was Watching Trees by 11 Pond. Because I still cannot get enough of this track either. It drives me crazy.
I want to be in a tree, watching trees, memories of the trees, watching me.
I've listened to this track 100 times. It is a gateway track to minimal synth music. It is very sexy. The lyrics are fun. It's just one of those tracks that I feel like I have to die with and listen in the afterlife. Like I have to. Otherwise, the afterlife is not going to be comfortable for me. So, I can hear it in my head right now. I love when I'm on the dance floor and a DJ drops it.
Oh, nice.
It's just like I don't play it on the show enough. I think I've only played it like a couple of times.
Also, I'm dying to know, like, how did you discover this band? Because I was reading that, like, they formed in, like, 1986, and they released, like, one album and then broke up. And then the album was, like, you know, this sort of, like, cult classic, and people were paying, like, you know, $900 to get a copy. And then finally they reissued it. But, like, how did it come across your record player?
When I was working here at the station before we moved into the new place, which we're at now, I used to hang around a DJ named Masa.
Oh,
and
Masa!
Masa, honestly, if I am going to say that I have any cool starting point taste, it was because he used to give me a ton of music all the time.
I love
He was
him.
like, oh, you're interested in this? Oh, I just made you like a folder of like a ton of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And I can think of like a lot of projects and bands and techno, experimental, synth, wave, punk, like all the stuff that he would just like give to me. And I would just go through it all.
I miss him so much.
I can feel the progression of like who I am as a person, who I am as a DJ, and how my taste has developed.
Oh.
You know, I started out with New Kids on the Block, and now I'm at 11 Pond. So,
I know, right?
and I still have my New Kids on the Block songs that I like, but you know.
And listeners, if you don't remember, Masa was a host of Expansions on KEXP, along with Riz and Kid Hops. Like, this is back in what, the early 2000s, maybe?
Yeah, he was one of the people that founded Expansions. And he was like basically one of the reasons why I was on Expansions.
And now you're one of the rotating hosts of Expansions, along with still Riz and Kid Hops, but also Britt Hansen and DJ Alex.
I got my start as a DJ hosting on Expansions. So being able to talk about Masa really warms my heart.
Well, let's get into the vibe of this track. This is 11 Pond and Watching Trees.
Of the trees, watching you, watching trees, watching trees, watching trees, watching trees, watching trees.
Sharlese, thank you so much for being our guest this week on In Our Headphones.
Thanks for having me. It was really nice to be able to talk to you and also to be able to talk about Mechanical Breakdown. And I hope listeners enjoy the show. And if listeners have any comments about the show or any requests, they can get a hold of me at Sharlese@KEXP.org. I love getting email and talking about the show and talking about music.
Absolutely. And everyone needs to check out Mechanical Breakdown. That's every Saturday morning from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Pacific time. And you can also listen in the 2-week streaming archive at kexp.org/archive. And don't forget to tune in this Wednesday for World Goth Day. And now, as we do every week, we're going to check in with KEXP's music director, Chris Sanley. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Janice. Thanks for having me back.
I'm so glad to talk to you because you just got back from Non-Com in Philly. And can you tell our listeners a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so it is this really great conference called Non-Convention that happens in Philadelphia, hosted by WXPN every May. So it's essentially just like big nerdy radio camp, you know? So it's a bunch of really great programmers from across the country, specifically within like the non-com AAA music community, and then a bunch of, you know, labels and other industry folks, and then of course WXPN listeners get to come in for the music portion. So it's kind of like panels and discussions by day, and then a bunch of live music at night. So there were a ton of great acts with so many standouts, including like Dead and Mercy and Iron and Wine, the Decemberists. But my big takeaway, my boys from the Betterland, Fontaines DC, they closed out like the last full night of music and was just blown away. So I was like, I have to talk to Janice about these guys and their new song.
So out of all the new music that you listen to every week, what is your featured track this week?
So we're going to go back to Fontaines DC Starburster. Even though it came out a few weeks ago, it's one I've had on repeat, and just hearing and seeing it live last week at the conference, I was just like, I gotta get this one in the spotlight in as many places as I can because it's perfect.
That's amazing. And I was reading an article this morning in Rolling Stone that talked about how frontman Grian Chatton had suffered a panic attack in a London tube station and then was inspired to write this song. And it just gave me like this new appreciation for like, you know, the relentlessness of the vocal delivery and like those gasps of air that he does at the end of the verses.
I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary.
Totally. Like listening to this song is stressful. You know, like this isn't like this isn't a peaceful listen. And that's because of exactly what you're talking about, like where this song was born out of. And I think just like knowing that and just like it even hits harder, and that like guttural gasp that he has in the chorus is just like haunting and almost grotesque, but just like so completely compelling that just like literally sucks you back into the song, just like commanding your attention the whole time. And I just, man, it's been so cool watching and hearing this band just really grow and evolve from album to album to album. You know, they came out on the scene with their debut Doggerel back in 2019 and like quickly followed that up with A Hero's Death in 2020, and then we had Skinty Fia just a couple years ago, and now they're already going to be back with their fourth album this August, and it'll be their first with XL recordings, and you can just hear they're, you know, again, flipping the script, taking it to a new territory, and they will always have those like post-punk roots, but here on Starburster you're hearing some like trip-hop and shoegaze elements in the mix, and just like the way that they're building and layering sounds, and man, that like repeating kind of muddied lyric that just carries throughout the song, like it may be bad.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I can't wait to hear more. These guys just like level up time and time again, and Starburster is no exception.
Oh my gosh. And so I can't even imagine, like, what was it like seeing that live?
It was so exhilarating. The crowd went insane. And so, you know, I was kind of talking about this as like radio camps, where we're just like a bunch of radio nerds in the pit. And like, you know, sometimes that can get a little like buttoned up, but like the first ever mosh pit emerged at the conference during this band set. And like everyone was into it. And just like, yeah, the way that the band just even like exuded this level of confidence with this new material, and just being able to really like engage directly with fans and listeners, like, it was very cool. You'll have to come with me next year, Janice.
I know, I want to. I mean, you describe it as radio camp. Like, who wouldn't want to go?
Exactly. Like, let's go, campers. Come on.
Well, let's take a quick listen. This is Fontaines DC and Starburster.
Hit me for the day, for the life that you suffer, to combine. Take to my sky, never wanting, only wonder to live out of reach. Sloping family, short to tall, 1 to 3, swallow the key. In their footprints, I will follow. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business.
You just heard Fontaines DC and Starburster, the first single off their forthcoming album titled Romance, which will be out August 23rd via XL Recordings. And that was a pick from our music director, Chris Sanley. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to Sharlese. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of In Our Headphones. You can listen to the songs featured on today's episode in their entirety on KEXP's In Our Headphones playlist on Spotify or on our website. Just go to kexp.org/podcasts and click on In Our Headphones to check out the show page. We've also got links to the artist Bandcamp pages so you can support them with a purchase. And if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review, or share it with a friend. We'd also love to hear from you if you've got feedback. You can write to us at headphones@kexp.org. KEXP is an independent nonprofit radio station, so this podcast, along with all of our programming, is made possible by the generous support of our listeners. If you'd like to be one of those generous supporting listeners, you can make a donation of $6 a month at kexp.org/headphones. In Our Headphones is hosted and produced by Isabel, Khalili and myself, Janice Headley. Audio was mixed by Emily Fox. And our director of editorial is Larry Mizell Jr. Our theme song is How Ma by the band Chinese American Bear. Tune in next week where I'll be talking with Mike Ramos, one of our overnight DJs, on the air every Tuesday from 1 to 5 a.m. Pacific. I'm Janice Headley. See you next time on In Our Headphones from listener-powered KEXP, where the music matters.